Namaste, welcome to the class. Hope you are doing well. Till this we have seen the different nuclear phenomena like in two nuclei combining together to form a heavier nucleus called fusion, a heavy nucleus splitting into two or more products called fission, and now we will look into the radioactive phenomenon. Some of the heavy nuclei are radioactive, all the nuclei are not radioactive. So when the nucleus becomes very heavy, we know that all the nucleons are held together by a force called nuclear force. However, nuclear force is very strong compared to the electrostatic force. But when you compare the more number of protons in the nucleus, the electrostatic force of repulsion between all the positively charged protons, that becomes predominant. But of course, it will not be greater than the nuclear force, definitely. But still, it becomes predominant, and we can't neglect the nuclear force between the electrostatic force between the protons. And in such a case, when the number of protons inside the nucleus is more number, that means that if it is a heavy nucleus, that nuclei at any moment can break up and it can emit certain radiations and certain particles, what you call alpha beta particles and gamma rays and all. And that is called nuclear radioactivity, and this phenomenon is spontaneous. It may occur at any moment. We can't bring about nuclear radioactivity at any moment that we want. Natural radioactivity occurs spontaneously. So we call it as spontaneous disintegration. Why do we call disintegration? Because once the nucleus is unstable and it starts radioactive phenomenon, there is no condition, there are no conditions which will control the radioactive phenomenon that it will occur exactly in this time, and you can trigger it and you can do it. For example, nuclear fission is a triggering process. What do you mean by triggering process? You can do it at any time you want. If you have a heavy nucleus, bombard a neutron into the nucleus, and for example uranium, it breaks into two daughter nuclei of comparable masses and all. And that is a controlled one, because you can do it at any time, you can start it at any time. But radioactive phenomenon is a spontaneous process. It may occur at any moment, and it doesn't depend on any external parameters. For example, whether if you apply pressure on the radioactive material, will it start radioactivity? Or if you heat the radioactive material, will it start radioactivity? Whether it depends on the external magnetic field, temperature, whether it is Sunday, Monday or Tuesday, whether it is Corona holidays, it doesn't depend on any of those factors. It may start at any moment. It doesn't depend on the external parameters. Even if you double the magnetic field applied on the sample, even if you put pressure on the sample, or if you remove the pressure, whatever it is, radioactivity, it may occur at any moment, and once it starts, what happens is, inside the nucleus, the number of neutrons and protons go on decreasing. When the number of neutrons, protons change, you can't call it as the original parent element. Suppose you take uranium, it is 92 uranium 235 for example. If it emits one helium nucleus, if it emits two protons and two neutrons, then that means as a whole the uranium nucleus, then its proton number is changed, atomic number changes, mass number changes. Now how will you call it as uranium? It gets converted, it may be converted into thorium. So original sample will not contain all the atoms as uranium atoms when the radioactivity starts. That is why we use the word disintegration. Disintegration means that element, its atomic number and mass number will keep on decreasing, and the number of original atoms in the sample will not be the parent element. So all the elements in the uranium, for example, if you take Avogadro number of atoms, that is 1 mole of uranium, 235 gram of uranium, then all the atoms in that sample will be uranium atoms. But once the radioactivity starts, after some time, if you just simply, this is imagination, suppose you count all the atoms in the sample, they will not be uranium. Some of them may be thorium, because they might have emitted a helium nucleus, they might have emitted an electron, that means a beta minus particle, and they might have emitted gamma radiations, their energy may be less. So energy level will decrease. So they will not show any characteristic of uranium atom. So if you count, you will find that number of original uranium atoms have been changed, and some of the atoms have been modified into thorium. So the number of original atoms, parent element, will go on decreasing in the sample, because they have changed their characteristic by emitting radiations. They have started radioactivity. And remember, all the elements, all the atoms in the same element sample will not start radioactivity all of a sudden together. Suppose you have 1 mole of the uranium, and if you have 6.02 into 10 to the power 23 atoms in that 1 mole of uranium, all 6.02 into 10 to the power 23 atoms do not start radioactivity immediately. one by one they will start, and in what fashion they will deteriorate or disintegrate. So these are the words that we use: decay, disintegrate, and decrease in number. So you can use any word. So how many atoms will disintegrate every second, and how many atoms will disintegrate after 1 hour? That is in an exponential order. What is exponential? You will come to know about it. So radioactivity is a nuclear phenomenon. It is related to nucleus. What do you mean by radioactivity? Spontaneous disintegration of heavy nucleus. Disintegration means losing some protons and neutrons, losing some nuclei completely, right? Losing some particles and decreasing their atomic number and mass number. So that phenomenon in which a nucleus, heavy nucleus, spontaneously disintegrates and emits alpha, beta, gamma radiations, that is called radioactivity. So spontaneous disintegration. Why do we word it as spontaneous disintegration? Spontaneous means at any moment it can occur, whereas fission is not spontaneous. You have to trigger it, otherwise fission won't occur. But radioactivity will occur at any moment. Spontaneous disintegration of heavy nucleus. Spontaneous disintegration of heavy nucleus with the emission of alpha, beta, gamma radiations is called radioactivity. And it was discovered by Becquerel, right? Henry Becquerel. And so after some time you will find that in the sample that you have taken, the original number of atoms will be different. They will not be as the parent element. Some of the element might have changed their characteristics, might have changed their atomic number and mass number. Now what are these alpha, beta, gamma radiations coming out of this radioactive element? So this was suddenly discovered when some element like uranium was packed in some photographic wrapper, and it was found that after some days it was having some markings on this because of some radiations emitted from the sample. So this has started spontaneously, and we didn't do anything for the sample. By itself it has started these alpha, beta, gamma radiations, right? Yeah, you can read the interesting story about how it was discovered, right? So spontaneous disintegration of heavy nucleus, and radioactivity is found in only heavy nuclei. All the elements are not radioactive. The atoms which are very strong, which have high specific binding energy, that is binding energy per nucleon very high, they don't emit these radiations, they don't undergo disintegration. Okay, you can have one more word, decay. Right. Now we will study what are these alpha, beta, gamma radiations. So whatever I say now, all things are not included in the syllabus. Actually CBSE has given one sheet. It has published one material where in some of the portions in the second PUC are cut off, and in that this radioactivity is also included. I announced it in beginning, but better you study this, because for entrance examination, suppose suddenly they change their mind and say that this is included again, then better you study it once, because this is very easy to study also, and if some questions are asked in the entrance exam, very easy to answer. Okay. Now what are alpha, beta, gamma radiations? Alpha radiations, alpha particle, and beta radiation and gamma radiation. Beta particles, these two are particles, these are radiation, electromagnetic radiation. So gamma radiations are electromagnetic radiations. They are the packets of energy, photons, but high energetic photons, least wavelength and high energy, high frequency radiations. They are so energetic that they can even pass through bones. They can cause genetic mutation, they can cause changes in the cells, and that will be carried to the offsprings. They can kill the cells. They are highly energetic, even energetic than X-rays. So they are gamma radiations. So why do these nuclei emit gamma radiations? We will see why it is so. Then what are alpha particles? Alpha particles coming out of the radioactive material are nothing but a whole helium nucleus. That means how many protons and neutrons in helium nucleus will have? We write 2He4, right? This is the helium nucleus. Helium nucleus itself contains 2 protons and 2 neutrons. 4 minus 2 neutrons, right? Totally there are 4 particles inside, 4 nucleons inside the nucleus. That will together come out of the heavy nucleus. That is like uranium, that radioactive material. So alpha particles are nothing but positively charged helium nuclei right? Because that is a nucleus replica that is containing 2 protons and 2 neutrons, and since protons are positively charged, alpha particles are positively charged. So alpha particles are positively charged helium nuclei. What are beta particles? Beta particles are nothing but negatively charged electrons, right? Which are negatively charged. Now here comes the question, sir, electrons are always found outside the nucleus. They revolve around the nucleus in circular or elliptical orbits. Then how come electrons come emitted from the nucleus? At the moment of radioactive decay, some reaction is occurring inside and that emits electrons. But there are no electrons inside the nucleus. At the moment, some changes will be occurring inside the nucleus. We will see how it is. So beta particles are nothing but a stream of electrons, negatively charged electrons. And there is one more set of beta particles, beta plus. Now this is beta minus, negatively charged electrons, and alpha particles are nothing but a beam of helium nuclei, positively charged particles, and gamma radiations are nothing but neutral electromagnetic radiations, and they are high energetic radiations. And how these are positively charged, how it was detected that alpha particles are positively charged and beta particles were negatively charged, and it is done, experiment was done inside a lead block. Lead can block gamma rays with a small opening like this. Radioactive sample is taken, and it has already started this radioactive process, and here will be 2 plates, positively charged plate and negatively charged plate, right? And now it is found that when these radiations come out of this, all the particles which come out of this sample, some of the particles are attracted towards negatively charged plate, and some of the particles are attracted towards positively charged plate, and some of the particles move undeflected like this. Now you can name them, right? Which are alpha particles, which are beta particles, and which are gamma rays. The particles which are undeflected and move straight like this, they are not the particles, they are neutral gamma radiations. Photons are neutral, you know. Photons are not charged and they don't have mass. They travel with very high energy, and they have energy, and it's a packet of energy, and they are neither attracted by positive plate or negative plate. They move undeflected, and they are gamma radiations. Okay, and what are these particles which are attracted towards negatively charged plate? And even while attracting, you see, these particles which are moving towards the positively charged plate, they are deflected very fast, and this is deflected very slow. What does it mean? These particles must be very heavy, otherwise they would have been attracted like this immediately. But they are heavy alpha particles, so these should be positively charged alpha particles, because they are attracted towards negative plate. You know that unlike charges attract, like charges repel. So since these particles have been attracted towards negatively charged plate, they should be positively charged, and they are nothing but alpha particles. Since they have been deflected very slowly, they are heavy particles, they are alpha particles. What about here? They are attracted very fast, and they are negatively charged particles, and since they are attracted toward positive plates and they have been deflected very fast, so these are electrons, very light particles. You see that mass of electron and mass of a helium nucleus. Helium nucleus contains 2 protons and 2 neutrons, and every proton neutron weighs with a mass which is equal to 1.66 into 10 to the power minus 27 kg, whereas the electron 9.1 into 10 to the power minus 31 kg. 10,000 times lighter. Electron is very light, so they are very light particles. And if you want to list the properties of all these particles, of course you must know this, and very easy to remember also. Yeah, this is not found in your notes because it is not in the syllabus at all, but you must have this idea. What are the properties of alpha, beta, gamma radiations? Alpha, I will write, they are nothing but helium nuclei. Beta particle and beta minus I will write because there is another particle called beta plus, which is called positron, antiparticle of electron, which has the same mass but opposite charge of electron, that is positively charged. Now it is beta minus and gamma radiations. Okay, I will write it, I will place some space here. Yeah, gamma radiations. Now first property, what are they made up of? What are these particles actually, and with what they are made up of? Alpha particles, helium nuclei, and these are nothing. I will write it like this, right? 1e0, that is minus 1e0 electron, it is negatively charged, and this is neutral, and this is electromagnetic radiation, right? Electromagnetic radiation. And if you want to write the charge, so what are they actually? And charge, if you take the charge, this is positively charged, this is negatively charged, and this is neutral. So this is very heavy. If you compare the mass, alpha particles are very heavy particles, and these are very light particles, mass is less, and these are massless particles. You know that light has no mass, right? Similarly, gamma radiations don't have any mass because they are electromagnetic radiations, they are packets of energy. Now if you compare another important property, if you pass a gamma radiation through any material, through thin aluminum sheets itself they can pass through. They can pass through thin aluminum sheets. They can pass through flesh, bone, blood, everywhere. Whereas X-rays can't pass through bones. That's why we were able to get the photography of our bones, right? It is used in the diagnosis of bone fracture. Okay, so these gamma radiations have high penetrating power. They can pass through even the thin sheets of aluminum. So penetrating power, I'll write it here. Penetrating power is very high. Remember, when the bell rings, all the students will go in the corridor, right? You pray the God that you will get the same chance very soon of coming to the college and enjoying all the processes in the college. So when the bell rings, all the students will come to the corridor. Some people will talk here and there, some people will be standing here and there, and some people will be rushing towards each in one corner and another corner. At that moment, when there is a heavy rush, the one who is very lean and very light, he will find it very easy to move here and there. Whereas a person who is very heavy and well built and very fat and all, he or she will find it very difficult to move here and there through the corridor, because he or she needs very large space, and he has to take his body or her body along with the corridor, along with the gap available, and that makes the motion difficult, not highly penetrating. Heavy particles are not highly penetrating, whereas light particles are highly penetrating. So in this way you can remember, gamma radiations are massless, high penetrating power, very less penetrating power, least penetrating power, whereas this is moderate. Electrons have moderate penetrating power. Now, what about then another one, ionizing power? What do you mean by ionizing power? All the atoms, I am talking about atoms now, atoms are neutral. They have equal number of electrons and protons. So if the atoms are neutral, if you can remove one electron from the atom, then it becomes positively charged, and we call it as an ion. How to remove an electron? You hit it with another particle, so that the kinetic energy of another particle is absorbed by the atom, and the electrons absorb that energy, they come out of the material. So you call it secondary emission in the same way. So when one electron leaves the atom, now you have less number of electrons compared to the number of protons. So it is positively charged, more number of protons. Now how to ionize? You have to take some particles and you have to hit the other one. I want to kick a student out of the corridor. What do you have to do? You have to ask a heavy person to run and go and hit him, the other person. The person who has hit himself will be thrown away. So in order to throw the one person, you should use another person who is well built and very heavy, because he can transfer more momentum to the other one. When the ball is hit, cricket ball is hit, it should be hit with a heavy bat, so that the ball runs away with more and more velocity. In the same way, who will be having the more ionizing power if you want to ionize an atom? Whom you will select? Not this thin and lean gamma ray, right? It is the alpha particle. So ionizing power is highest and the ionizing power is least, whereas here it is moderate. This is how do we write. So ionizing power is highest for alpha particle. Since it is very heavy, this is the best suitable particle to hit to an atom and ionize it, whereas gamma ray is not suitable for ionizing because it has no mass at all. And of course it will have some ionizing power because it has got some energy. And what about penetrating power. Penetrating power is high for gamma ray but least for alpha particle. It cannot penetrate through any material so easily. So these are the properties of alpha beta gamma radiation which you can remember very easily. Now what happens to the parent element when an alpha beta or gamma particle is emitted? That is another important phenomenon. So when a parent element emits alpha particle, I will show it in symbols. Suppose X is the parent element and its atomic number is Z and mass number is A. If it emits an alpha particle, and remember always, when a parent element starts radioactivity, when the atom becomes more unstable, when the things are not so well inside the nucleus, it may rupture and it can break and it can start emitting all these radiations. When the radiations are emitted, particles are emitted, alpha particle may be emitted once and it cannot be accompanied by a beta particle. Either only alpha particle is emitted and only beta particle is emitted. But about gamma radiations? Gamma radiations are electromagnetic radiations. They can accompany both alpha and beta particle. Along with alpha particle, you may get gamma radiation. Along with beta particle, you can get gamma radiation. But alpha particle and beta particles do not come together. So only one nuclear reaction will be occurring inside. Then why can gamma radiations accompany both? Gamma radiations are emitted by a nucleus when its energy is high. That means, say one nucleus emits alpha particle. Now the original nucleus is not having its own original characteristic. Its atomic number will change, mass number will change. Now for the present atom, that energy which is available now is more than what is required, and its energy will be more. So now it is in the excited state, and that emits that extra energy in the form of gamma radiation. So when alpha particle and beta particles are emitted at any moment from the radioactive sample, the energy of that remaining atom, and that is a daughter nuclei, what you call, the remaining nuclei, that is daughter nuclei, energy of the daughter nuclei will be in the more energy state. That means it will be in the excited state, and that energy will be more for that daughter nuclei. So since it is in the excited state, in extra energy, and it will give that extra energy in the form of gamma radiation, and it will return back to its original energy. So it is as if, for example, if a very rich person loses, rich persons usually they have their own standard of living. They will have a big palace. They don't have a small house. They have a big palace, and according to their standard they will be living, right? They will have a big car and very costly car, and they will be having so many delicious food during their lunch, and because they want to show their standard. Suppose a very rich person loses money, and if he become bankrupt, now still he will be having some money. Suppose he decides himself, if I lose money, okay, let it be. I will reduce the standard of my life. I need not have such a big palace, and I will get more current bill and all. I will let me restrict my life itself to a small house, right? And I will let me live in a small house. And let us not have a very big car and very costly car. Let me have a small bicycle, enough. And if we adjust to that level, now whatever the money that is remaining, of course he might have lost money, and he may be having the less amount of money which is compared to the previous one, right? But still, when he was very rich, he will be having much amount of money. But when he is now in this position, the money that he will be having will be very much less compared to the previous money. Whatever it is, if he is adjusting to the next level, what happens is that money will be much more than what is required for his new reduced life. Means he is adjusting for the new life, because he can't live as he was earlier, because the money is less. But for the present life, it is much more. If he is adjusting for a small house, a small vehicle, and if he decides that I don't want all these delicious food, just some rice or some curry is enough for me, and then that money which is available now is much more than what is needed. And if he starts leading a simple life, he can donate money to others. Now also he is having suitable life. So same thing happens here. When a parent nuclei emits alpha particle or beta particle, now what happens is the energy available for the daughter nuclei will be more. And that energy, and that is what we say in physics, the daughter nuclei will be in the excited state. In the newly adjustable life, you is having much amount of money. he can save money, lot of money in the newly adjusted life. The daughter nuclei will be having excited energy, and it will it will be in the excited energy state. So it decides itself, that much of energy is not enough for me, so it emits that energy and adjusts its energy to the suitable value, and that energy is emitted in the form of gamma radiation. So that is why even though alpha particle is emitted or separately beta particle is emitted, gamma radiation accompanies both, because whenever that atomic number and mass number changes, when the parent nuclei changes into daughter nuclei, these are the names given. So the original atom is called parent nuclei, and the one which is newly formed after changing its atomic number and mass number, that is called daughter nuclei. Okay, so the parent nuclei, and after getting converted into the daughter nuclei, it emits the energy along with either alpha or beta radiation, beta particle. Okay, so when a parent element emits alpha particle, the newly formed daughter nuclei, I call it as Y, will have, of course, what do you mean by helium nucleus or alpha particle? 2He4, 2 protons and 2 neutrons. It is a set of 2 protons and 2 neutrons, which is nothing but a helium nucleus. It is found, what should be the daughter nuclei now? These two have come out, right? So what is remaining inside now? Z minus 2 and A minus 4. Am I right? So its atomic number will be reduced by 2 and mass number will be reduced by 4. So now the newly formed element, so we have taken thorium as we have taken uranium as a sample in the beginning. So when it started radioactivity, after some time some atoms are not uranium, they are thorium now. I can give that example. 92 uranium, 236, something like this. 90 thorium, 234 plus 2He4, right? So once an alpha particle has come out, now it is not uranium, it is thorium. So one by one particle will start getting converted into thorium. Even thorium is not stable. See, sir, if it starts emitting continuously like this, in some elements it will stop at one moment, right? Sir, will all elements emit like this and thorium gets converted into any material, another nuclei, and will it keep on going? No, when the nucleus becomes stable, it stops. When the nucleus is stable, so it may emit again a beta particle, it may get converted into another nuclei. So when the nucleus becomes stable, the radioactivity may stop, or the conversion may be stopping, but total radioactivity in the sample will never stop. You will understand the meaning of my sentence later. So this is one example where alpha particle is emitted. So we say, now I was actually trying to explain it like this. The newly formed element is thorium now. Now what is the place of that sample now, what you have taken in the original, when you took it as original uranium, when it started emitting alpha particles, say in the whole sample, one atom, for example, I already have told, if you take 1 mole of uranium, you will have 6.02 into 10 to the power 23 atom. Among them, one emitted alpha particle, say, radioactivity started. Only one atom. Now that atom is not uranium, it is thorium. Now where will you place it in that periodic table? In the periodic table, that atom has changed its position. Now it is not in this, it is in this. So we say, and this is actually called displacement law. This is not named as displacement law in your syllabus. What is that? When a parent element emits an alpha particle, the newly formed daughter element will have its atomic number less by 2 and mass number less by 4. Use the words properly. Don't write its atomic number will be less than 2. What do you mean by less than 2? Any number less than 2 is 1.5, 1.6, 1.9, all they are less than 2. I am not saying like that. Suppose this is 92, this will become 90. It is not less than 2, less by 2. By 2 it will be decreasing by a factor 2. So the newly formed element, when a parent element emits an alpha particle, the newly formed daughter element will have an atomic number less by 2 and mass number less by 4. This is what happens during alpha particle decay, when an alpha particle is emitted. Okay, when a beta particle is emitted, let us see what happens. when a beta particle is emitted, of course, the immediately after the emission of an alpha particle, the parent nuclei will emit gamma radiation. But when gamma radiation is emitted, we don't lose any atomic number or mass number, so it will remain the same. Okay. And if beta particle is emitted, same element, I'll take ZXA. If a beta particle is emitted, what do you mean by beta particle? It is an electron, like this. It is an electron. When a beta particle is emitted from the parent nuclei, the newly formed daughter element will have its atomic number increased by 1 and mass number remaining the same. You see, balance the equation. A, 0 plus A. Of course, this is just named to say that beta particle is emitted. And Z plus 1 minus 1, Z. It is same, right? When a parent element emits beta particle, beta minus, that is a stream of electrons, the newly formed daughter element will have its atomic number increased by 1 and mass number remaining the same. Now can you compare parent element and daughter element having the same mass number, a different atomic number? So can you call them as isobars? Remember, what are isobars? Same mass number, different atomic number. Same atomic number, isotopes. Same neutron number, isotones. Neutron and proton number interchanged. What do you call that? Mirror nuclei, right? These are isobars. Okay, so you will have the, this one. And suppose gamma rays are emitted, no change in the atomic number and mass number, because it is an electromagnetic radiation, it is not a stream of particles. So when an alpha particle is emitted from the parent nuclei, daughter nuclei will have its atomic number less by 2 and mass number less by 4. When a parent element emits beta particle, its atomic number will increase by 1 and mass number will remain the same. And later I will discuss a problem where you will have to find out which particle is emitted. In such a case, how many alpha particles and how many beta particles are emitted? If the question is like that, maybe even for entrance exam, in order to find it out, what you have to do is, first you have to check for beta particles. How many beta particles are emitted? How many alpha particles are emitted? That is what you have to check for, not for beta particles, because from the emission of beta particles, mass number will not change, atomic number will change. But atomic number will also change by the emission of alpha particles. Then if at all there is a change in the mass number, then it is only by the emission of alpha particle. Can you get it? If beta particles are emitted, mass number remains the same. If alpha particles are emitted, mass number decreases by 4. So first you check the change in mass number. Then you will get the emission of alpha particles. Then you check the atomic number, you will get the number of beta particles. Or shall I give you a formula or a problem now only? It will be like this. For example, I will give it like this. I have to think of a little bit. Suppose 236, say 234, say another isotope of uranium, or 238, 92 uranium 238. Suppose it emits some alpha and beta particles. Okay. If the newly formed daughter element has an atomic number, say it is like this. I will have to check it because I haven't prepared for that problem. It is 206, say. Okay, and atomic number will decrease by 2, 16, 76 and 79. Suppose this is the daughter element, like this. So the question is like this. I have framed the question. A parent element having atomic number 92 and mass number 238. After emitting certain alpha particles and beta particles, the newly formed daughter element has the atomic number 79 and mass number 206. Did you get that? Once the parent element, after emitting so many alpha particles and so many beta particles, you have to find out that so many, how much. The newly formed daughter element, finally formed daughter element, has an atomic number 79 and mass number 206. How many alpha particles and how many beta particles are emitted? That is the question. How to find it out? Now, Now from where we will start? Shall we start from atomic number? That is what I was explaining. If you start from atomic number, the problem is, if you find that the atomic number has changed by how much? 92 to 79. That means it is 13, right? It is 13. Rub this, you may get some clues from this. Yeah, it is 13. Shall we conclude that 13 Z plus 1 means 13 beta particles are emitted? No, because atomic number will also change by the emission of alpha particles. So you can't come to the conclusion immediately. But you select that mass number, because if there is any change in mass number, that is not by beta particles, it is only by alpha particles. So find out how much mass number has changed and divide it by 4, because every alpha particle will reduce the mass number by 4. A minus 4, A minus 4, N minus 4, like that. Now how much mass number has changed? So change in A, how much? 238 minus 206. How much it is? 32, right? 32. Divided by 4, because every alpha particle will make the mass number decrease by 2. Divided by 4, decrease by 4. 8 alpha particles, you can conclude it to 100%, right? 8 alpha particles are emitted. But remember, 8 alpha particles will also change atomic number. Now this is sure, 100% sure, 8 alpha particles are emitted. Now what 8 alpha particles will do? 8 alpha particles will reduce the atomic number by 2. So reduce the atomic number by 92 minus 8 into 2, that is 16. So 92 minus 16, subtract them. So 6, here it is 8 1, 76. It should have been 76, right? Where is the example? 76, but it is 79 now. And that remaining change should be because of beta particles. Am I right? Remaining change should be of beta particles, because 8 alpha particles, 100% sure they have been emitted because of this, right? 8 alpha particles must have changed atomic number reduced by 2 8 times. 2 less 8 times, 16 less, but 76. But we have here 79. Still we have found some change. So we have plus 3. That means 3 alpha particle, because each beta particle emission increases the atomic number by 3. So see, 8 alpha particles, 3 beta particles. That's how we have to conclude. So remember this one clearly. Whenever a parent nuclei emits alpha particle, atomic number will reduce by 2, mass number will reduce by 4, and whenever it emits beta particle, atomic number will increase by 1. And mass number remains the same, and there is no change in the atomic number and mass number when a gamma radiation is emitted. Okay, sir, how come electrons from the nucleus? Because electrons are found outside the nucleus. You say that beta particle is a stream of electrons. Okay, now during the process of radioactivity, now let us take up this one. During the process of radioactivity, inside the nucleus, a neutron, I am explaining this now, this one. During the process of radioactivity, during the process of beta radiation emission, or beta particle emission, not radiation, beta particle, a neutron splits into a proton and an electron. And the proton remains inside, electron comes out. You see the beauty of the explanation now. During the process of radioactivity, when there is a beta particle emission, just before beta particle emission, that means that just before an electron comes out of the nucleus, a neutron splits into a proton and electron. Electron comes out of the nucleus as a beta particle, but proton remains inside. That is why atomic number increases by 1. You see here, any element Zxa, Z atomic number, number of protons, A mass number, protons plus neutrons. That means in mass number, there is a contribution from proton as well as neutron. But in atomic number, there is a contribution only from protons. Am I right? Now, sir, why when a neutron gets converted into proton and electron, why should the atomic number increase by 1? Why don't mass number change? Because, here it says, we have lost one neutron, correct? But it is in the form of proton. Inside the nucleus, we have lost one neutron, but one proton has come extra because neutron has been changed its dress as a proton. So one lost, another came. However, mass number should remain the same, because whether it is the number of proton or neutron, totally it is a nucleon. So if you lose one, we have got another one. So number of nucleons has not changed. Can you get it? Now why the atomic number should get increased by 1? Because atomic number is the number of protons only. We have lost one neutron and that appears as a new proton. Atomic number should increase by 1. Followed it? So it is a very tricky idea, right? So since we have lost neutron, one proton is obtained, so mass number will not change, because whether it is number of neutrons or number of protons, total number is the number of nucleons. That doesn't change. One lost neutron has been replaced as proton. But when we go for the atomic number, we have lost neutron, but that doesn't contribute to the number of protons. Neutron number doesn't contribute to the number of protons, that's the atomic number. But why we have got extra protons, so it has increased by 1. Now, one more. What about here? So, but I want to say few more things about this, that I will do it in the next class, because time is, we are approaching the time. Yes. Now, how do you get helium nucleus? That is okay. We have 2 protons and 2 neutrons coming out. There is no much explanation for this. But when this is studied, it was found, you see, if you compare this reaction here, a neutron gets getting converted into proton and electron. Neutron is neutral, proton is positive, electron is negative. Total, it is neutral, because proton and electrons have the same charges, but opposite kind. Polarity is opposite. One is 1.602 in 10 to the power minus 19, another is minus 1.602. So totally it is neutral, charge is conserved. What about mass? It is found that the mass of this one and mass of this one plus this one, when they are added, the total mass of neutron was almost equal. So mass of proton and mass of electron, when they were combined, the mass of neutron was obtained. It is almost the same. But it is found that there is some problem with energy. The energy of proton and energy of electron, when they are combined together, that was not equal to the energy of neutron. So some energy was missing. Mass was conserved in the reaction, charge was conserved, but energy was not conserved. Energy was missing, and it's found that one more invention was made. It was found that another particle called antineutrino. This is called antineutrino, and which is almost massless, without mass, but having some energy, is coming out along with the electron. So during the process of beta decay, that means the emission of beta particle, a neutron gets converted into proton and electron, but to conserve the energy, some energy was missing. Another energetic particle whose mass is almost 0 and having no charge, that is called antineutrino, is also coming along with this, and that is another particle coming out of the nucleus. Okay, we will study about this later, again a few more things, and today I will stop this part of the radioactivity. Tomorrow we will meet with more knowledge or more ideas and some problems with this also in the future classes. Hope you are following the class, and thanks for watching my class. We will meet in the next class. Take care of your health, right? So I think very soon we will meet in the college. We will pray to God to create that opportunity. Thank you.